Thank you for having me. I'm Paula Medina, and I teach in Norwalk, Connecticut, which is an urban school district, and we work on the free version. Okay, why isn't it going? I'm sharing, but why isn't there? It is. Sorry, little delay. Panic, right? I started teaching in 2015. I was an IT professional for 100 years, retired, and now I'm teaching. I'm certified in both math and computer science. And in 2018, the head of the math department said, "Oh, Paula, our computer science person is retiring. What do you say? You want to take it over?" And I said, "Of course I did." And my whole goal is I want to share the joy of computer science with people because it gave me such a wonderful career and I enjoyed it. And I really feel that a lot of students in urban poor districts like my district don't understand what computer science is. So I want to give them access to it. And my goal was to build the largest computer science program in Connecticut, and we did that. So our belief system is everyone should take computer science. We do it for diversity and inclusion. We have a pathway that we've designed so that it's not elitist based. The prior group believed that you had to be a superstar and everything to be successful in computer science. I don't believe that. And we use CodeHS, the free version. I wish I didn't have the free version, but without that free version, we would not have been able to build a program. So I'm eternally grateful to CodeHS for that. This is our growth. So now this year we have about 360 kids taking it each year. Our school is 2,000 kids. 80% minority and female enrollment. Our school is maybe 70% qualify for free lunches. Again, equity is about accessibility. So I try to sell to everyone. We have clubs, we go to competitions. Please sign on to our TikTok, Carol Off the Grid. It's hilarious. And my main way of getting the knowledge into these classes is to pre-teach the topics and then expand upon it as they go forward. I believe that programming is a learned skill, not a talent. And of course, we all know there's a wide variety of skills within each human being, but I believe most people can learn it. I don't think you have to speak English to be a great coder. We all know where all the great coders are in the world, and they're not all in English-speaking countries. And I'm really trying to just give everyone a chance to meet Carol in our school. So we teach Computer Science 1, JavaScript. I teach it in semesters. So you have 1, 2. Most kids do not take the second semester. We teach A. After A, we follow with principles, which I turned into an advanced Java class. I have another 1 semester course, computational logic, and those kids are just scattered in my other classes. It's for the advanced kids, and they do projects in that class. And we're starting IB computer science in 2025. So what do I pre-teach? Or why do I pre-teach? What is that? Demystifies the topic for everyone. I think people come into my classes and they're afraid that they're going to fail. So I really try to make it easy and fun by just introducing the topics and giving them a way to learn it before they have to do it. And it keeps me engaged. I've been teaching for 5 years, JavaScript, and you got to kind of change it so that you're excited about it. And then it also helps the faster students, they can move faster if I pre-teach a little bit. So that's why I do it. In JavaScript, I teach functions on day 1. For and while loops, day 3, graphics with parameters, end of unit 3, and music, we throw right in there with the graphics. And I know this sounds a little aggressive, but what I found is it keeps them interesting because it gets a little dry in unit 3 after Carol. Unit 1 is Carol, Unit 2 are the advanced Carol options, and then it gets a little dry in Unit 3. For APA, I make sure they understand static variables and methods very early in Unit 1. I have them build what I call a Carol class before they even hit Unit 2, where that's where they're taught, the basics of object-oriented programming. But I like to put it in context, so I teach them the Carol class. I use a lot of Chat GPT so that they can do a lot of research on their own. And Coding Bat was my new tool this year, and that's working out very well. My beginning students, I say there's a Medina style, and I do this. I force them to use function main and main at the bottom, and I insist that their function main is the first function, and that all the functions they call cascade down, so that they can't really cheat. They can't find it on the internet and paste it in, because I'll notice immediately, and then I just put a 0 in. So they learn right away. They don't know enough to see that it's very similar, but they know enough to know that Medina style has to be done. So I think that helps me with the over collaboration. Forces them to use docs. I'm very big on look it up in docs, copy it over, see what it does. And once somebody gets it, I ask them to help the others. So I really try to make the students very self-reliant. So here's the example. Their first program has to have the function main. And I know CodeHS does not do that. CodeHS, I think it's move, put maybe. But I make them structure it, and I give them the whole speech, how functions help you organize your code. They don't get that. They just get opening, close, and main at the bottom. And I think that's very important, and I think it's helped them as we progressed. Here's the example. I know I'm going quickly, so if I'm not making any sense, please stop me. But this is what I require for that first exercise, and we do it on day 1. So there's a lot of talking, a lot of helping each other. And then, I just explain the computer's very stupid, but it's fast. He won't understand if it's move, semicolon. He just won't understand. And I don't even bother to explain the parentheses, why they're needed, because that's a little too much information. If they get this, then I'm happy. So this teacher, the way when I'm using functions, they're learning program structure and flow from day 1. No orphan code. Everybody likes to put the closing parenthesis or curly bracket in the wrong place. So they learn very early that code has to have a home. They learn, I like to say the computer is stupid. I use vocabulary, invoke functions. I teach them. I think I got muted. I'm sorry.
Sorry, there was some background and I accidentally muted you. I apologize.
Oh, okay, good. I'm sorry. So, vocabulary, I use vocabulary. I don't expect them to remember it, but they will. And pattern recognition. That's what I keep every day. I say, okay, what is the pattern? What did you use it before? And then following directions. They'll say, oh, mine does the same thing. I know you guys have all had this, right? My code's doing the same thing. I said, well, did Carol say it was wrong? Yeah, well, Carol's always right. And I go, you're going to have a boss and they're going to want it a certain way. You just have to do that. So, I'm going to go on. Is it slow? Talking, go on.
Paula,
Now I can't shift.
while we're waiting for your screen, we do have a question.
Oh, do we?
We do. From Robert. He was asking, we're building a pathway. So just out of curiosity, why teach AP CSA before AP CSP?
Aha, because, and this is, can be controversial. We started with A. So we had A going already. And then I got approval for principles. And there's 2 schools of thought, right? Principles is the easy one. But what in our school, certain demographics are afraid of AP classes. And I didn't want to make it an elitist pathway. So I said, and we already had intro to computing with Carol. So I said, the one semester of JavaScript is enough information to help them with A. So why switch? And I can get more people into introduction for computer science. And then once they're out of A, because I have a lot of sophomore and juniors in A, they need a place to go. So I put principles after it, and it's Java-based, and we do a lot of algorithms in the beginning. And then they build their program, which is very easy for them. And then they learn some more vocabulary. We do some networking stuff, but it's mainly an algorithmic data structure class. And these are the kids that are on my competition teams. So it just made more sense because I'm not a big fan of that course. I don't think it has a lot of meat in it to begin with. And I believe that once the kids learn how to program, they can handle the concepts better. So that's why I did it. Does that make sense? Yeah. So my screen is still not shifting. So what I think I'll do is, in fact, I can't even get out of this. So maybe, can you guys share it on your end? If I stop sharing, maybe that'll help it.
Yes, let me
Okay.
get mine
So
up
I'll
and going
stop
here.
sharing. Or I can try to get back into it, I guess.
Why don't you try it one more time while I'm getting yours? I've got it up, but see if yours will come back.
Okay. Let's see if mine will come back. Sorry, everyone. No, I think we're gonna have to do it on your end,
Okay.
if that makes any sense.
Yep, that is totally fine.
Let's see if I can find you now. There we go.
Okay.
Okay, so
I think this is me, so
I
tell me
think
when
so too. So if you could just, we'll just be very informal. How's that sound? So jump forward a lot. Let's keep going here. We just won't have the links, but that's all right. That's okay. So there we go. Yeah, right there. Right there. Keep going. Okay, and I talked about that. Keep going. Keep going. Okay. So what I do in my class, each day I have a do now, and we'll go forward from here. And my do nows kind of wake up the kids. So the next screen will show. So, and I don't spend a lot of time agonizing about the best do now. I'll just say, create a program that makes Carol place 2 tennis balls, move 2 steps, turn left and move 2 steps. And so they spend about 10, 15 minutes doing that. I have them turn it in and I grade it. I don't know about you guys, but we're having attendance issues this year. So this kind of helps people. It reminds them it's important to come code every day. So the next, and I keep them simple. I remind them it has to be Medina style. Maybe like in this case, I gave them function names. So I'm really trying to get them to, and I introduced loops by telling them, the typical stuff that we all do is, a for loop. If you know the number of loops, use the for. If it's conditional, use the while. So I go through those little talking, somebody will act it out in the room. And then I say, okay, go to docs and bring it forward and try it. Okay, next. I don't know why anyway. And then this is the part that I'm really proud of. When I get to unit 3, the first thing is they learn user input. And it's very hard for them, I found, to transition from fun Carol, look at Carol run around the room, to, oh my goodness, I have to really understand user input. I have to understand console.log. That makes no sense to them. They don't even understand what a console is. So we creep through the first 3 parts of that. And then once the graphics begin, I just throw in draw a circle. And I go, okay, go to the docs. And this is an object, you could have many circles, different colors, different shapes. And I said, now build me a red, or whatever I say, red circle. And so I said, remember 3 plus 1. So they bring in they do define the object, set the position, set the color. Those are my 3. And then I say the 4th is you have to add the object. So we go through this exercise and they love it. And I said, okay, now build a blue circle. So they copy it. Now we have draw circle blue, right? And I say, oh, this is so boring. Okay, next slide, please. And I say, okay, now it's time to do parameters. What are parameters? And I say, well, if I throw something at you, you have to catch it and then you're going to use it. And then there's always a football player, right? And I throw something at him and I said, how are you going to use it? You're going to run. Okay. So then I make them substitute to build the parameters. I call it parameterize your draw circle. And I think what's interesting is I have a lot of kids that are taking this for a math credit. Maybe they don't have a strong math background. Well, now I say, how do you measure a circle? What is the size of a circle? So now they're learning about a radius. They may not know about XY coordinates. So I'm getting this to them early. And I think they take great pride in this. So then, of course, you have some advanced kids. I said, okay, do the randomized circle. And then I go, okay, let's draw a lot of them. So now we're using the for loop again. So we're really covering a lot of stuff. But now they're going to have a page full of circles. And now they're having fun. And then I add, if somebody does it quickly, I say, okay, add a rectangle on top. Remember the 3 plus 1 rule. And then some people really get it. And then I said, okay, what a polygon? Or no, I say build a triangle. And they go, oh, there isn't a triangle. Okay, what's a polygon? And then they talk about it and they create art, which I think is really fun. And it keeps me entertained. It keeps them entertained. And now they've learned, I think this is in unit 7, the parameters. And and they'll maybe make a comment about, oh, I didn't know, it just makes it fun. And so next slide, please. And again, this is why I'm trying to hook the faster running students, and I'm trying to keep them interested, because if I go too slow, then I get some interruptions in the class because I have kids at all levels, all grades. But if I make it exciting for all of them, then it just seems to pull everybody up. And I don't believe they need to know everything to be moving forward, because some topics just come easier to some students. And I'm always reminding them to find the repeatable pattern. And I give them the speech about reusable code and maintenance aspects, but they're not going to get that. They get, oh, look, I can build 3,000 circles with one change. And I think that, to me, that it kind of livens up the class. Okay, next slide.
Okay, real quick, I'm going to ask, I'm going to repeat a couple questions, Paula. One is from Chris. Where do they do the do nows? Is it in the sandbox?
Yes, I make them do it and we use Google Classroom. So I put an assignment in Google Classroom. They do it in Sandbox. They upload the link. I grade it and see, I'm not on the professional version. You guys have some advantages. So I actually have to go into Google Classroom, hit the link, grade it, and then I got to put that grade in my grade book. But for me, it just makes my life so much easier because I know where the student knows where they are. And if they've decided not to do something, because there's only so much I can do walking around, reminding them, but the 0 really helps me get them motivated. I've found doesn't work for everyone, but got to have a stick, right? Okay, next slide, please.
Can I ask another question real quick?
Please.
Okay, well, this is John. John asks, he says, I am a former 20-year software engineer now teaching. I want to add do nows in my Python course that are fast and easy. The issue I struggle with is that at home, I am working with an IPython console. Is there a way to get students access to that platform? It would be fast, easy, instant feedback, etc. Do you know the answer to this?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I think that, no, I don't.
Okay, I don't know the answer either, so.
Yeah, we have a problem. Our kids we have lots of problems, but they're given Chromebooks, so we can't download anything.
Yeah.
So I wanted in my advanced class to do some database work and we can't. So yeah, I don't know.
Okay, we'll get that for you, John. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and,
All right. And I think I've learned to let go, because I'll create a do now, because we have so many, we teach a lot of classes. We have a lot to prepare for. And sometimes my do nows are not very good. So they'll say, oh, Mrs. Medina, you forgot. I said, you're right. Let's change that do now. So I've had to let go and remind myself, I don't have to know everything to be a very effective computer science teacher. I don't, was it John who's has the 20 years? I mean, you and I both know there are people on a team because everyone has a different skill set. And so I try to emphasize that in my class. And I had two kids that were just really good. And I said, okay, I could see they were kind of, had completed everything. So I said, okay, you figure out how to put sound behind that graphic. And they went off, they figured out the sound, we got music playing, and then all of a sudden everybody has music playing. So it was really wonderful. And we did that with timers and animation. And so now I know how to do all that stuff. Next one, please. These are great, but unfortunately I can't show you those. Unless maybe, can you hit a link? Maybe you have access to everything in the world that's CodeHS. You do. Wow. They can big brother us. If you could hit the run. Yeah, hit the run.
oh,
Yeah,
okay, I'll let it go. I was too
yeah.
impatient.
So do you have your sound on? Oh, it's hard to hear the sound, but there's music playing. And this was just in a very, if you could run it again, maybe the music will be bad, but I had a team, one kid's name was Dash. So instead of R&D, it was R and Dash. And they had to do, they have a timer, they have music set up, they have some motion. I hope it'll come through. They did some animation, they changed the music. And then the last one, they did another thing. But this is very advanced for 3 months, 2 months, because they had to have it done by December. So they had 3 months. So I thought that was nice. And maybe if you could hit the bathroom project. So we have problems in our bathrooms. And so this was a student who thought it would be funny to do this. And it is funny. So of course we want clean bathrooms. And then of course, what's coming next, dirty bathrooms. And he submitted this to we have a computing challenge for Connecticut. And so that's his, and I think it's wonderful. Dirty bathrooms is we're representing Norwalk well. Next one, please. But I think that comes from my pre-teaching, that they were able to pick up a lot more items than I think. And so now we're going to go into A. I think my best, I don't know. Yeah. So next slide, please. Oh, of course, I'm going to give some promotions. We sent 8 out of the 22 teams to CodeQuest this year. That's run by Lockheed Martin, and we did well. But it's just great. I just am, see, and we have all our names are Carol based, of course. Another coach came up to me and said, "Oh, are you Carol?" I said, "Yes, but not really." Next slide, please. And I think I did this a few times, so please forgive me for this, but there's more pictures of our kids. Next one, we can skip right through these. And then I don't know how we do it, but we seem to be winning. I call a win for second or third. Actually, we win if we go, but somehow we score well with cybersecurity, and so I guess logic helps you. So next, please. And so this is what I do for APA. Unit 1, I have them write the Carol class before finishing Unit 1, because Unit 1, they've picked up a lot of that from JavaScript. And so they just have to get used to the structure, the class structure, the method structure. So I run through Unit 1 very quickly and throw in, let's build a Carol class. Unit 5, there's a lot of repetition that I can eliminate because they already know the Carol class. The Carol class will have setters, getters, toString, constructor, and they can initialize objects. So they've covered the basics before they even get to Unit 2 or Unit 5. In Unit 6, I teach them all the commands for the arrays on day 1, and then they just practice in Unit 6. And Unit 8, I go Unit 6 and then Unit 8, because I said really 2D array is just stacked arrays. So just treat it the same and draw your matrix. So they seem to, and it seemed to have worked especially well this year. And then Unit 7, we go over that's array lists. Again, I teach the basics on day 1, and I do a lot of traversing, and then I try to interject array questions so that we get all the confusion done before they hit the test. And then Unit 9, I do a lot more chat GPT on that, so they can find their own examples. And then we kind of do more basic stuff with that. Unit 10, again, they don't have to code that. They just have to understand it and be able to recognize the base case. And this year I started using Coding Bat. So in fact, last week we had most of the week off, and their assignment was to do the AP-1 review. And some of those algorithms are very hard, but I like the way they have them set up, because they're set up as a method. So you have things feeding in, and my students always get confused. And I said, well, look at the method signature line. So I think that's going to help them on the test. Okay, next slide. Sorry, I'm speaking really quickly. And again, this is what I do in Unit 1. I stress the importance of the method signatures, method signatures. Typo, sorry. Next. So I teach, this is, I think, the best thing I do, actually. I want them to understand method parameters, instance variables, and because they always get confused with instance variables and instance and what was I trying to say? And methods. So I try to distinguish that. Constructors. Okay, and now I have an example of how I do that. So I think this will make it clearer if we move to the next one. So we have 3D printers, which have been donated to my class. So we print carols and I give them out, but I also use them in this exercise. I give them all a carol. I go, what distinguishes Bob from green carol and red carol? So next slide, please. And I have a bag of carols. So now they understand that I have a class of carols and they're all in this bag, but they all look different, but they're all carols. So now I try to introduce what are objects and how do we store objects. Next one, please. So they're given one, they're asked to come up with their own descriptors. And next one. And so of course they have to build their objects. So they build their first Carol class in Sandbox. All it will have are the instance variables. That's all it'll have, but now they'll know there's two files. They had to create the file. They had to get the right, .java. It has to run without an error. And I think this helps eliminate the problems when you get to unit 2. Where's the file? How do I do this? So they've handled all of this in unit 1, and it's not on the same day. I spread it out. Okay, next slide, please. And I don't think we need to look at this. This is just the code behind it. Next one, please. So here it is. Then I say add the constructor. So now they have this and they're building off of it in Sandbox. So they're just adding to their original work. And I think this is a good exercise so that they understand not everything is, okay, problem 1 done, problem 2 done. Now they have a Carol class that they're going to have to build upon. And I think this helps as well. Next slide, please. And then once they have the constructor built, and of course it's doing nothing, but I make sure that it runs and it passes. And now I say, okay, build your object. And then what I like to do is they build the object, and then I want them to print out, okay, print out the object. What's the object name? Bob. And then they see that they're not getting the details of Bob. They're getting the reference address. So then I can talk a little bit about that, and touch about the different types of variables, different types of storage. And so I think that helps connect a lot of the dots. Next slide, please. So this is just, and then I give paper tests. I forgot to tell you about the paper tests in JavaScript. But for example, this is a paper test I would give while we're going through the Carol object. So they have to write the constructor. And so that would mean they have to write the instance variables, the methods, and the constructor. So this way, they're doing it, they're learning about it, they're doing it, they're seeing it with my plastic carols, and they're now writing it out. So, okay, next. Does everybody give paper tests? Does anybody give paper tests? I'm not looking at the chat.
I do.
Yeah, and do you find they're very helpful?
I do, because it really is a great gut check for the kids who know it versus the kids who are just looking up problems either on Reddit or on ChatGPT. It's a great gut check to see if they really know it.
And it's easy to grade. It's like a second just to look through it. And it makes me, I think it's great for the kids and also for me. I can see, ooh, did I really mess that one up? Nobody got it. Happens. And then, thank you.
Paula, it looks like from the chat that there's a few that don't, but it looks like you're in good company with paper tests.
Good, because sometimes we have other teachers that teach it, and it's hard for me to convince them that paper tests are the way, but it seems to be working. So once they build the object and they see that, oh, I need some way to get the data out, then I go into toString. I just keep adding on, and we can go to the next one. And here's another test. I may give them more of the structure, and now I'm having them change it. Like I'm just having them add an attribute. So I'm testing, do they know that the constructor has to have all the attributes? Do they understand that the toString, if you don't have it there, it won't print out? So I'm trying to test different things, along the way. And I think this is really helped them. It really helped them in unit 2. I could cut out a lot of those pizza things. How many pizza problems do you need? No, sorry, CodeHS, but next one, please. And then I go into the setters and the getters. Next one. And again, these are just my tests that I give, and I don't spend a lot of time thinking about them because I don't know. I could become obsessed with writing the perfect test, but I don't think that is the best use of my time. I can obsess about other things. So I try to just, okay, yesterday we did this. Okay, I even do this. I said, okay, paper test. Everybody, I make them spread out around the room. I said, okay, here it is. And I start typing on the board. And displaying. I go, okay, I want you to do this, this, and this, and this. I go, does this make sense? And somebody will help me and I'll make it better. I say, okay, that's your test, go. And sometimes the first person in the room, I said, okay, you're gonna write the test. So I'm trying to get them to think of it from all angles. And it does kind of make it more a community versus I'm testing you, start getting nervous. And next one, please. Thank you. Again, just another example of a test, and I try to change a lot in it, just so that they have to think and remember what the parts are. Next one, please. Oh, okay. So that's, let's go, and again, this is very embarrassing self-promotion. Oh, do I utilize Microsoft or Google for what? We use Google for everything. Next slide, please. This is my favorite. Look at these. They do not like, these kids are just from every walk of life, from everywhere. And they really look like, the ones on the right look like computer scientists because they're not smiling. But, and we get no money. I mean, but that's okay. We're still ahead of the curve. Next one, please. So how have I changed? I'm much more relaxed. When a kid says, I can't get this right, I'll look at his code. I mean, every year you get better, right? But sometimes your eyes are tired too. And then I'll say, okay, so-and-so, I can't find it. And the first time I do that in a new class, they're like, what do you mean? I go, I'm a coder. I know how to code. I don't know necessarily how to debug everybody else's code. I said, but you're good at this, you figured out. And then that kind of turns it into a community versus, Mrs. Medina knows all, but then, we do know more than they do, thank goodness. I help, students should help each other. Over collaborators, I take no prisoners. If I see you're cheating, I go over to you, I discuss it. I put the 0 in, I put the note in the grade book, student did not turn original work in. And I remind them, I will not discuss it with you. And that seems to, at least they're getting better when they over collaborate. Let me put it that way. Individual projects. I have a student who did really well in CS1 and he's taking CS2, but he wanted to do something different. So he's teaching himself web design, and he figured out how to make JavaScript talk to his website. And that was, in his 5th month of coding. And I thought that was just wonderful. And it's just a high school class. They don't have to be expert coders when they graduate. They have to be, I think it's important that they have, I call APCSA the moneymaker class. I think that's important to have on their resume for colleges. But more importantly, when they get there, they're not going to be frightened of any Java class. And they're going to, if that's where their heart's going to take them, they're going to find they can handle computer science. And that's what I have to keep reminding myself. And I'm not afraid to change CodeHS. CodeHS is great, but we're experienced teachers. We can make it better. Here, don't tell Jeremy that, but I'm sure we're all doing that. I mean, do most of you change it? Or am I the only crazy one to admit it?
And Paul, I just want to point out, we've got about 2 more minutes
Oh,
in class.
okay, okay, great.
And
Next
we have
one.
a couple questions.
Okay, next one, I just want to see what it is.
The,
I think it's just, oh yeah, look at my TikTok, make the kids happy. Next, and I think keep going to the very end, I think. And we've won some things. Keep going. I know this is shameless. I know. Keep going. Keep going. I want the last one. I want that one. Oop, go back one more. One more. There.
oh,
No, wait, that one. Worthy are you, our CodeHS user and APCS student, to receive glory and honor and power, for you programmed all things. And because of your will, Carol turned left and put ball. That was turned in as an English project from one of my coders. So now it's on my wall. I thought it was hilarious.
I love it. All right, just a couple last questions. One, oh, yeah, 2 of them. From Melissa, when we say pre-teach, does that refer to the first couple of weeks in a semester? Is it a separate mini course? Is it how you enter each of the lessons for the first few days? I am just a little unclear about what pre-teach constitutes.
It's for major sections. Like for unit 1, I pre-teach for loop and while loop sooner than CodeHS presents it. Unit 2, I have done some do nows that will make those harder carols easier. For unit 3, they've already, well, while they're in unit 2, I have them ask, maybe read Boolean. So I'm always introducing new things along the way. So, and the way I do that is I look, I go, okay, unit 3 is teaching these 5 things. I say that to myself. I go, okay, maybe I'll introduce this 2 weeks before they get there. The first 2 weeks early, the next 2 a few days early. But it's throughout the course. I'm always trying to bring new things in before they have to do them. That's kind of how I do it. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Okay.